Hey there, it's Sunday and I just released a video on making this thing right here, which is yet another circle jig and the same design that I came up with back in 2018, except this one has a single adjustment wheel here and it's quick release. You can just pop it right out and rapidly make your adjustments. And if you need to make a really big circle, you can change the rod out for something longer. And the rod just screws into the base of your router. You can either get the right size threaded rod for it to screw in there, or like I did, you can re-tap it for a 1/4 which is a lot more common here in North America. Yeah, good stuff. The interesting thing about this is the quick release that allows the adjustment knob to snap right onto the threaded rod, and then you can adjust from there. I think it was a worthwhile improvement to the jig. Like, that's not the only improvement that I came up with either. It was the pin as well, which was always a piece of drill bit. You have a cheap drill bit, you cut the shank off and you use that as the pin, and then you'll drill a 1/8 inch pilot hole for the jig all the time. But leaving the burr on the end keeps it from going all the way down in, and then cutting a recess for the epoxy to fit in, that gives it lots of bite on the shaft, and it would take a serious amount of force to push this pin out. It's the kind of thing that's not going to happen under normal circumstances when you're using the pin. So you'll get people that are redesigning it after they see it and say, well, I would do this with the pin, or I would do that with the pin. Well, you can. I mean, feel free to change it in any way you feel, but know that, you know, the simplest is often the best, and it's often, you know, way more durable than you realize. That same thing goes for this wheel. I just, you know, I thought, well, I got the CNC here. I can make a knob from plastic, which I thought was interesting because I've been trying to get into using the CNC a little bit more, and I picked this as a mini thing to do. And, you know, you make it from plastic, it's more durable, the threading, but the plywood is plenty durable enough. That's going to last literally for years. I mean, if you're making 20, 30 cuts, like circles with this per year, that wheel is never going to wear out, not in the run of a year. And then, like I said, if you make more than one at a time, you're going to have them for the next, you know, 10, 15, 20 years. What I want to talk about next is, what kind of woodworker are you? And I mean, this comes down to what kind of person are you? And it's whether you're the type that is goal oriented or experience oriented. Now, the goal oriented sees the thing that they want to do and does what it takes to get there and achieve that goal. And the goal is the ultimate thing. Whereas the experience type person values, he wants the goal, of course. There's a definite finish, but it's the doing of it that he gets the most from. And I'm that type of person. I've always been that type of person. And therein lies the problem with doing this on YouTube, because you sacrifice the experience when you need to make a final result every single time, right? You have to give something that works. For the type of videos that I make where that actually gets some views, right? Because you can make experience videos, and lots of people do that. But they generally, well, in this space anyway, they generally don't get a lot of views. So if it's just me out here experimenting in the shop, I actually did that on another channel, and those videos rarely got very many views, rarely got very much attention. And, you know, it's kind of a shame, because that's where all the lessons are learned. That's where all the you know, the good stuff comes from. It's the experience, and it's the stuff that has to be edited out of a build video. Like for this here, I started this almost a month ago. And I was thinking of ways to make it a quick release because I already made a mock-up of this with the wheel without that notch cut in it. And I was saying the big drawback of this, I mean, it simplifies the whole thing because it's a single wheel. That's not going to turn. But the drawback is that it's really slow to turn. So I was thinking of all kinds of different ways to make this a quick release. Well, one was cutting the wheel in half, like splitting it down the middle, like 2 half moon shapes, and then putting a rubber band around it, and then putting a pin up in the end here, or 2 pins that you can press in that would have a wedge on the end that would force this thing apart, and then you can slide the rod back and forth. And eventually I came up with that, right? So I didn't actually try those other alternatives that I was thinking about, but you know, that's the enjoyable part for me, figuring stuff out, right? And that's the kind of person I am. I'm a journey type person. What makes me think of this is that I was checking the reviews on a movie that I wanted to get, and there were, you know, the reviews on IMDb, they put a spoiler alert, and people get upset when you so-called spoil the movie for them. And I simply don't get that. I don't think that there's, like, the movie is not just the twists and the conclusion, it's the experience. So I don't mind spoilers unless they give away a key twist, like, what's that movie? The Sixth Sense. That has a really big twist that really shouldn't be given away. But otherwise, you can give the broad strokes of the story and not ruin the thing. And that good movies, good movies, good TV shows, good books, I can watch and read those over and over again. And I do. You know, it's not the story, it's not the conclusion, you know, the resolution, it's the experience. It's the experience. So, yeah, that's what's missing from the YouTube experience for me. Is the freedom to enjoy the process of working stuff out. That's the reason why when I built my table saw in 4 installments, and I tried to do the same thing with my bandsaw, I really enjoyed that because it was starting from kind of an unknown, well, a rough idea, and then working stuff out as I went, right? I made I spent the entire 2 days out here on just one single thing with that table saw that's really memorable to me. And it's those kinds of things that I appreciate the most when I'm doing stuff like this. I mean, I appreciate having a table saw, don't get me wrong, but I appreciate the experience of building it more than I appreciate having it.
But as a matter of fact, Jane and I have been seeing quite a lot of each other lately. How's my little hellcat?
Well, that's great. I've been dating too. Nice girl, an author. She wrote the book on male sexual dysfunction. You've probably read it.
I beg your pardon.
Frank, please.
Oh, it's all right. I'm sure that we can handle this situation maturely.